Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I do hope that you're well. So, it is the 31st of August 2023, and in this video, we're going to be doing some teaching and also channeling with Michael Jackson. Not the first time that I've channeled him. If you look back in a playlist, which I will link below, there's about 6 or 7 videos I think that I've already done over the last few years. And I'm not going to be revisiting questions and things that we've talked about then. So I'd like to move the teaching on in this video. And as I say, I'm going to be looking at the energy of the man in the mirror, which really is asking us to look at ourselves, to look at, it's the whole thing about change starts with us. So I'm going to be bringing him in. We're going to be talking about that. And before I get into it, I would like to just do something first. I'd like to honour somebody who honoured Michael when they were alive. Some of you know who it is that I'm referring to. It's a lady called Lisa Brisse. Lisa, I did have some contact with when she was alive. She wrote this book, which was actually called The Man in Our Mirror, a reflection of our collective soul, written by Lisa Brisse. It's all about the energy of, obviously, of Michael and what he taught. Her mother, and I don't know whether you're watching, I think you're called Judy from memory. Hope I've got your name right. But Judy, sending my love to you. On the loss of Lisa. Lisa lost her battle with cancer a few months ago now, and I always wanted to honour her work and who she was as a person, and I just really want to give a shout out to this book. So rest in peace, Lisa. You're probably here with us now, and without any further ado, let's get into the main body of this work. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to just bring Michael's energy in so he's with us. But I'd actually then like to start by reading a passage from another book. One of you sent me this. It's called Dancing the Dream. It's actually a series of poems and writings that Michael did when he was alive. And there's one right at the back that I found last night, which is actually called That One in the Mirror. So I'm going to read that with him watching on, which will be a bit surreal. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. But let's just bring his energy in to start with. Now, if you followed me a while, you'll know that in the old days, I used to do a technique where I would build what's called a rainbow bridge, and I would walk to the top of the bridge, and then the spirit that I was trying to connect with would walk to the other side. And I don't know whether it's just because I haven't been doing these channelings for a while, but the next 2 that I'm doing, including this one, want to come through in a different way. I'm also going to be doing a channeling with Marilyn Monroe, and she's given me a completely different technique, or just practice basically in terms of getting in touch with her. And I'm going to leave that for another day. But Michael's the same. He's wanting to come in a different way today. And it's quite funny in many ways because it is pouring with rain here, absolutely pouring with rain. We've just had the Pisces supermoon, which was also a blue moon. So lots of moon energy, lots of water, lots of rain. The windows are closed. Do you know where I'm going with this? Okay, so we're getting the energy of Peter Pan. And it feels as though Michael wants to come in with a knock knock at the window. So literally, I'm just going to tune in now to the window that's over there. The rain pouring down it. And I'm just seeing a hand on the external side of the window. And he's just turning it, coming in as pure spirit, actually, coming in as pure spirit today, and has landed with a thump in front of my desk. Okay, so, and it's just like he's shaking himself off because it's wet outside today. It's very wet. He's got his hat on, you know, the fedora hat, are they called? The black hat. And he's just emptying it. And as he empties the hat, all the water is just sort of falling onto my carpet, which is fine, it will dry. And he's got the biggest smile on his face, and his eyes are sparkling. And as he came in as pure spirit, more like a wisp of energy, it's like he's now materializing into the or manifesting into the man that we knew when he was alive on this planet. Okay, so he's obviously spirit, but he's showing himself here more as the man that we knew him to be. Okay, but yeah, that hat seems important for some reason. And does he wear it on yeah, he's wearing it here, actually. He's wearing it in this picture, so that's how I'm seeing him. Okay, so we'll talk to him in a moment, but he's asked me to read this passage from this book, and it's his writing. Okay, so it's a fairly long passage, so you might like just to sit back, close your eyes, and just let the words of this really sink into your psyche, because there is healing within these words. This is almost, he's saying to me, also a command to action. It's a request for us to do the inner work in the same way that he tried to do that when he was alive. And the technique that he used to do a lot of mirror work, is what he's saying to me. So he would often look into the mirror, talk to his reflection in the mirror. I'm seeing lots of post-it notes on the mirror. So having conversations with the mirror, having conversations with your reflection, being aware that your reflection changes from day to day. And he's saying this isn't so much to do with physical appearance, although it can be. Of course, our reflection can show our tiredness or our joy. It's to do with where we're at in terms of our journey. He's saying the eyes, of course, are the windows to the soul. And rather than always looking in other people's eyes in terms of where they are and trying to gauge where they are, he's saying, when was the last time that you looked into your own eyes and really deeply felt what they were conveying back to you? He says there's no hiding place when you truly look into your own eyes, because you will see your own pain, you will see your own despair, you will see your own blocks, you will see your essence in terms of what is wrong and what is not and what is right. Okay. He's also now shown me the whole physical body. So it's not just about looking into the eyes. He's shown me a full-length mirror, very much like a ballet dancer or a dancer would have in a dance studio, where you're actually able to see your full body. And I must admit, I'm not always good at doing this. In my house, I haven't got lots of full-length mirrors. And he's saying this can be a mistake because you don't see your whole, again, it's the whole body. You don't see the changes. You don't see necessarily where things are going a little bit awry, okay? So he was a dancer, of course. It was very important for him that he kept himself very trim and fit and lean to be able to do part of what his mission was, which was to dance. He's saying everybody remembers me as a good singer or a good, writer, but he was always about the dancing. And he's saying the dancing gave him as much joy as the singing. So seeing your body, seeing how your muscles lie, how just the changes in your body, basically. Now he's saying, I never got a chance to get older. I think he would have been 65 this year. He's saying, I never got a chance to get older. And by older, he's talking, obviously older than he was when he died. So I didn't see my body start to really change and diminish, maybe, weaken. Although he's saying he had issues, which are well reported in terms of his physical health. There were things that were wrong and going wrong within him in terms of his physical health. But he's really talking about his, it's almost like the skeletal structure, the stature. He hadn't put it this way. He's saying I hadn't become the old man who was completely hunched over and unable to stand up without a cane. He's saying, but if I had, I would have had compassion for that stooped man in the mirror. So he's talking to people here who are maybe disabled in some way, incapacitated, have problems with their spine, have problems with their posture, who just have problems with getting older. Michael, there's somebody that I see in my town from time to time, and it's in fact there's a man and a woman, and they're not just bent over. There's one person in particular who is completely curved so that they can't anymore look at the sky. They can't even see their own reflection. All that they can see is the pavement beneath them. And he says that must be absolutely terrible. He says, but even the pavement can be a beautiful thing. But it's to do with the mindset that you have. He's saying whatever circumstance you find yourself in life, there is always beauty there within it. Just as much as there is beauty in your body, there is beauty within your soul and your essence. Okay, so thank you. I'm now going to read this piece of writing from this book. The book is called Dancing the Dream, and I'll put the link below. One of you sent me this a few years ago. Thank you. Ready? Just to settle down and listen to this. Oh, actually, I'm going to just do one thing before I read. It was intended for his birthday, but then I realised he's not really into his birthday. So it's good that I'm doing this a few days later. It's actually the anniversary of Princess Diana's death today. Rest in peace, Diana, as well. Also another member of the Heart Squad, absolutely, who brought Michael to me. I'm absolutely sure about that. He's saying, yeah, you can never talk about Princess Diana without a smile coming across your face. He says, I was like that. He said, I was like the kid in the sweetie shop when I met her. And he's just showing me this beaming face when he met her. He said, I couldn't stop looking at her. I couldn't stop looking at her. She was so beautiful. She still is, he's saying, okay, but it's to do with the radiance that she had. He's saying she had a radiance, she had a light that came from within, and it was linked into her goodness and her purity and her soul and where she came from. And he's shown me the planet Venus as well, linking in with Diana, and the energy of just love. She radiated love, and he said, I was awestruck. He said it was like being bathed in a Venusian light, in the same way that last night, he's saying, because I knew I was coming here to do this work with you, I was bathing in the moonlight, the super moon, the blue moon. And he's showing me that he was flitting from country to country. It's very Peter Pan, flitting from country to country, going faster than the speed of sound, being able to witness the moon rising in different portions of different parts of the world. Because he's saying it never gets boring. It never gets boring seeing the moon like that. In the same way, it never gets boring, or should never get boring, to see the sun rise and the sun fall and the moon come up and the moon fall. He says the cycles of nature are beautiful. Nature is beautiful. This world is beautiful. You are beautiful. Okay. So yes, a nod to Diana, but I did just want to show you this, and yeah, we have made these. Now, it's called Man in the Mirror. I'm going to ask Michael to talk about it in a while. If you're totally new to this channel and you've never heard of me before, you're not going to know that I make, with my team, a range of aura sprays, but they are also sprays that help you to connect. This one is in honor of Michael. I don't know whether it shows on the camera, but it says Man in the Mirror, and then it says Make the Change. So on the back of this video, there's going to be a limited number of these sprays. We're going to be donating some of the proceeds to a charity that Michael will help me choose, which is what we did last time when we released a spray in honour of him. But this, more than anything, it's not a pretty spray to just sit on your shelf. It's to help you do the inner work, to help you be able to be brave enough to look into your own mirror and change what needs changing, to make the change. Because the change that we see in the wider world comes in on the back of personal, individual change. It starts with each one of us. And that's what his song was all about. So let me just spray this, and then I'm going to read his words, that one in the mirror. Okay, so I've got my phone going off, but I'll have to get that later. Just going to turn my phone off, sorry. Okay. I wanted to change the world, so I got up one morning and looked in the mirror. That one, looking back, said, "There is not much time left. The earth is racked with pain. Children are starving. Nations remain divided by mistrust and hatred. Everywhere, the air and water have been fouled almost beyond help. Do something." That one in the mirror felt angry and desperate. Everything looked like a mess, a tragedy, a disaster. I decided he must be right. Didn't I feel terrible about these things too, just like him? The planet was being used up and thrown away. Imagining earthly life, just one generation from now, made me feel panicky. It was not hard to find the good people who wanted to solve the Earth's problems. As I listened to their solutions, I thought, there is so much goodwill here, so much concern. And at night, before going to bed, that one in the mirror looked back at me seriously. "Now we'll get somewhere," he declared, "if everybody does their part." But everybody didn't do their part. Some did, but they were stopping the tide. Were pain, starvation, hatred, and pollution about to be solved? Wishing wouldn't make it so. I knew that. When I woke up the next morning, that one in the mirror looked confused. "Maybe it's hopeless," he whispered. Then a sly look came into his eyes and he shrugged. "But you and I will survive. At least we are doing all right." I felt strange when he said that. There was something very wrong here. A faint suspicion came upon me, one that had never dawned so clearly before. What if that one in the mirror isn't me? He feels separate. He sees problems out there to be solved. Maybe they will be, maybe they won't. He'll get along, but I don't feel that way. Those problems aren't out there. Not really. I feel them inside me. A child crying in Ethiopia, a seagull struggling pathetically in an oil spill, a mountain gorilla being mercilessly hunted, a teenage soldier trembling with fear and terror when he hears the planes fly over. Aren't these happening in me when I see and hear about them? The next time I looked in the mirror, that one looking back had started to fade. It was only an image after all. It showed me a solitary person enclosed in a neat package of skin and bones. Did I once think you were me? I began to wonder. I am not so separate and afraid. The pain of life touches me, but the joy of life is so much stronger, and it alone will heal. Life is the healer of life, and the most I can do for the earth is to be its loving child. That one in the mirror winced and squirmed. He hadn't thought so much about love. Seeing problems was much easier, because love means complete self-honesty. Ouch. "Oh, friend," I whispered to him, "do you think anything can solve problems without love?" That one in the mirror wasn't sure. Being alone for so long, not trusting others, and being trusted by others, it tended to detach from the reality of life. "Is love more real than pain?" he asked. "I can't promise that it is, but it might be. Let's discover." I touched the mirror with a grin. "Let's not be alone again. Will you be my partner? I hear a dance starting to come." That one in the mirror smiled shyly. He was realizing that we could be best friends. We could be more peaceful, more loving, more honest with each other every day. Would that change the world? I think it will, because Mother Earth wants us to be happy and to love her as we tend to her needs. She needs fearless people on her side, whose courage comes from being part of her, like a baby who is brave enough to walk, because mother is holding out her arms to catch him. When that one in the mirror is full of love for me and for him, there is no room for fear. When we are afraid and panicky, we stopped loving this life and the earth. We disconnected. Yet how can anybody rush in to help the earth if they feel disconnected? Perhaps the earth is telling us what she wants, and not by listening, we fall back into our own fear and panic. One thing I know, I never feel alone when I am Earth's child. I do not have to cling to my personal survival as long as I realise, day by day, that all life is in me. The children and their pain, the children and their joy, the ocean swelling under the sun, the ocean weeping with black oil, the animals hunted in fear, the animals bursting with the sheer joy of being alive. This sense of the world in me is how I always want to feel. That one in the mirror has his doubts sometimes, so I am tender with him. Every morning I touch the mirror and I whisper, "Oh friend, I hear a dance. Will you be my partner? Come." How beautiful is that? In Michael's own words, absolutely beautiful. I got slightly distracted reading that because about a third of the way through, he's like intently listening. And what he's saying is that it's interesting hearing his words back because in many ways they weren't his own words. He's talking about the gift of channeling and the fact that through writing words such as that, in the same way when he used to write songs, he just allowed a consciousness, a God consciousness to come through him, and it is God's words that you hear. He simply was the vessel through which the words landed on the paper or landed on a record or became a dance. He's saying that God moved through him in his work. So it's interesting when he hears back because there are things that he didn't necessarily appreciate that God was maybe saying at the time. Now, one of the things he's pointing to is there's a passage in what I've just written out, which is about being tender with ourselves. So I'd like to ask him about that, the energy of tenderness when we look into the mirror. So he's saying why people avoid looking in the mirror in terms of what their issues are, what their unresolved things are, maybe what problems are going on within their body that they don't want to acknowledge, baggage that we all have to a degree. It gets built up, he's saying, to be like this monster that we don't want to face. But yet the monster is actually us. And if we look through eyes of compassion and tenderness and love, the monster dissolves. The monster isn't real. The monster is an illusion. He's saying because what is within you is God's light. So to have tenderness, to have compassion, to not fear the reflection. He says most people fear, it's the energy of fear that stops people doing the inner work. And he's saying people will make excuses as to why they can't stop and look at themselves. The excuses will be, I don't have enough time, is the main one. He's saying, I don't have enough time. He's saying when you are this side, and he's talking about the other side of the veil, he's saying you understand you have all the time in the world. But equally, any reflection and healing work and self-acknowledgement and progress that you can make whilst on the earth plane stands you in good stead for what you experience after you pass. Because he says, after you pass, each one of you will have to face the man or the woman in the mirror. You have to face yourself. There is a reckoning. There is a moment where you see precisely the causal effects of everything that you have ever said, everything that you have ever done, even if you did it without the intention of causing harm. He says that can be overwhelming, and he says everyone finds it overwhelming. So to make it less overwhelming is to have confronted some of it before you pass. He says it's not just about reckoning though, it's also linked into having an easier time, a smoother path whilst you're here on earth. Self-acceptance and self-love are linked into the energy of self-worth. Something he says that I struggled with when alive. Despite the adoring millions, despite the family that loved me, despite my children, that insecurity of lack of self-worth still persisted, as it does with many. I understand that. I understand that place of doubt, of resistance. And he's now showing me the energy of, it feels a very maternal energy. It feels like the energy of Mother Mary, but that might be coming through my lens in terms of what he's showing me. That's how I'm interpreting what he's showing me. But it feels bigger than just one identity of mother. It feels as though what he's showing is an energy of the Divine Mother, which encompasses more than just one archetypal energy. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it would also include the love of Mother Earth, the Divine Mother, and the Divine Mother seems to have different fragments in terms of how people acknowledge and view her around the world. So it's as though I'm being shown the world's different views of what the Divine Mother is. And it's so much bigger than any one particular reflection in a mirror. And he's saying for people that have great doubt, insecurity, a feeling of not being able to accept themselves for whatever reason, also not able to maybe step into their talents and their gifts because of doubt, to fall back into this energy of the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother just feels like this squashy pink marshmallowy cloud is how he's showing it. I mean, obviously that's just an analogy. That's what I'm feeling it. That's what it's being shown to me as. It's like the biggest, it's just like this bigger soft pillow cushion cloud, which has got rock solid support. You feel as though you're falling and you're falling and you're falling, but you always will be caught, he's saying, by the Divine Mother energy. It's always there for you. It's the creation energy. It's the birth energy. It's from where we came. I feel as though he's showing me the female face of God as well. It's quite interesting. It feels as though with him today there is great reverence for the divine feminine energy. I think it's being highlighted by the Princess Diana anniversary, because I'm still feeling, it's really interesting that even in spirit, where of course all are equal, we're all equal, we're all equal actually on earth. It's just that we subdivide ourselves based on status or money or power or any amount of things that we think puts us above another. It's all illusionary. But in spirit, we absolutely understand that we are all equal. But I still feel with him, there is a part of him that's still in awe of the Diana energy. And he's showing me now the energy of the bow and the arrow. Now, Diana as an archetypal energy was the goddess of hunting. So the bow and the arrow is linked to that. So why are you showing me that? So he's saying what we have to be like is like this archetypal Diana energy with the bow and arrow. And it's like we see what we want in life, we take aim and we fire and we go for it. And we don't allow all of the distractions and all of the noise to distract us from that end goal. Every single person, he's saying, can hit bullseye in their life. But too many people get distracted by things that aren't important. So he's showing me now his skin, and I know he talked about his skin when he was alive, and I'm not talking about vitiligo. I'm talking about the fact that he referred to himself, I think, as having like rhinoceros skin. Is that right, Michael? Yeah. And it's just like having a thick skin. But that's also to do with just being focused on the goal, knowing what your mission is. And he said to know what your mission is, to know why you're here, to know what you're meant to be doing. How can you do that if you're not going to look in the mirror and get to know yourself? He says looking in the mirror is an exercise in terms of getting to know yourself. So it's about getting past the fear in terms of, okay, what are the wounds, which you probably already know anyway, you just don't want to face them. It's about feeling them. It's about feeling them, okay, truly feeling them. And when you feel something, you're halfway to healing it, okay? Because you faced it, you're feeling it, you're healing it in that moment. But yeah, also looking in the mirror is to do with getting to know yourself, because when you get to know yourself, you start to learn to trust yourself more as well. Now, I'd like to ask a question at this point, Michael, with regards to the main wounding that people are carrying at this time on the earth. He's saying fear. I've just got the huge word fear coming up. He says there's so much fear in so many people. And he's asking you to look into the mirror and to ask yourself, where is fear sitting within your body? Where is fear sitting within your body? Now I'm being shown a butterfly here, which I know is the thymus area of the body. But equally, it's also the energy of the higher heart. The higher heart is the bridge between what the heart knows and what the voice is trying to project and say. It also could be to do with the fact you don't feel as though you're listened to. You're frightened that what you say might become invalidated. People might try to cancel you, like they've tried to cancel Michael. But he's saying you have to say it anyway. You have to say your truth. You have to keep speaking your truth. So this isn't for everybody, but I'm definitely feeling an energy here as I start to croak up myself, which is linked into higher heart energy. Higher heart. The higher heart is a gateway, he's saying. The higher heart is a gateway to transcendence. I'm hearing the word transcendence. To be able to transcend what is blocked, what is not being allowed to be felt within the heart. Opening the gateway here at the higher heart helps us to be able to transcend our limitations. Okay. I'm just going to spray this again, see what else I get. Okay, he's taking me to the image on the bottle. This is actually from a video still. All you MJ fans, you'll be able to tell me what song that is. Was it the one he did with Janet? I can't remember. But anyway, the point is, I wanted this image on this spray. We've tweaked it a bit to make it our own. And as I say, it does say make the change. But the point is, it's him sitting in meditation. It's a meditative pose. I do believe that when he was alive, he did some work with Deepak Chopra. Is that right? Yeah, he's saying. But the point is that it's to do with being still, being okay with being still, being okay with being silent, being okay with pause. And he says again, he's just showing me the world at the moment. It's a bit like this runaway train in terms of everything is moving so fast. So much happening, so many developments, so many new timelines wanting to come in as well. He's saying it's going to be very important that you get to know yourself now. He's saying now is the moment to get to know who you are. Okay, Michael, how can people get to know who they are? So talk a little bit more about this mirror work and what you're asking people to do. So the first thing he's showing me is journaling, diary type energy. He's saying even if it's a couple of words or a couple of lines a day, it's an opportunity for you to check in with yourself. He's saying people are so used to checking in everywhere other than themselves. He's showing me, it says it's an anathema. He's showing me social media, which of course wasn't really going strong when he died. He's saying thank God for that. it's like I think he would have, tell me what, he's just shaking his head. It's just like, in a way he's saying he's glad he bypassed that. It's like there's a look of horror on his face. I think it's because of the persecution energy that he went through in his life. He said, imagine if we'd also had social media at the time of my trial and everything else. You know, he said it was bad enough going through that then without, you know, thousands of accounts reporting on it and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the rest of it. He's just saying, no, not for me. But the point is he's saying we check in everywhere, okay? We check in. I do it myself. Wake up, check in, see what Facebook's doing. Check in, see what Twitter's doing. Check in, see what Instagram's doing. Why have we forgotten to check in with ourselves, okay? Why are we not checking in with ourselves? He's saying before you check in with anybody else, with the exception of a child or a baby that you're responsible for, check in with yourself at the start of your day. And he's saying then check in with yourself at the end of the day. And this is to do with just pause, reflection, meditation, journaling, writing something down, saying a prayer, talking to yourself in the mirror, how's your day been? And he said it might feel stupid to start with, but how much more stupid is it to avoid doing that or having that conversation in the first place? Okay, so that's what I'm feeling. Anything else coming through in terms of techniques? Okay, he's taking me now to water. He's taking me to nature. He's taking me to the trees, sitting in a tree, hugging a tree, sitting by water, being with Mother Earth, telling her your problems. He says there's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's about doing it, though. It's about doing it. He's now talking about contracts. So the energy of contracts, the energy of jobs and obligations and duties, he's saying is the other reason why a lot of the time people don't do this inner work. Because again, they're putting the contractual obligation above your own need. He's saying unless you are well within yourself and you're looking after yourself and you're nurturing yourself and you're healing yourself, you can't fulfill the obligation. You can't fulfill the contractual thing. He's saying I learned this the hard way as well, although I tried my best to always be doing the work, basically. He said I had a continual conversation with myself through life. I had a continual conversation with myself through life. I never lost who I was. Many people now have lost who they are. They don't hear their own inner voice. They don't hear their inner voice, and they also don't hear God's voice. Both voices are important. And it's to do with this haste and the speed and the need to pause, the need to slow down. Okay. Thank you. Yes, understand. Right. I just wanted to open Lisa's book on a page, and I've opened it on page 150. And this is the passage that I've opened it at. And it talks about being a fluid channel, which is sort of what I've been talking about. She says, for the first 25 years, he served as a fluid channel that effortlessly took him to the ultimate pinnacle, including the best-selling album of all time, world-class videos that broke through many barriers, and songs that called for the world to unite. Michael Jackson captured our hearts and souls and blew us away. He was like a shooting star that got brighter and brighter. Everything he touched turned to magic. And not only did he touch us, he touched the very heart of the world. We Are the World was not just a song, but a message that would be the underlying theme throughout his life. And his hope and belief were contagious. As he believed in helping the world, we followed his lead and believed too. He made us aware of the importance of being aware and assisting others. We felt connected through our collective heart and felt love for him and his love for us. And as he danced, so did we. As he was moved, so were we. Yeah, that's really beautiful, Lisa. Beautiful words. It feels, Michael, as though many of the songs that you wrote were very ahead of their time. And in particular, I've got the energy of Earth Song, Heal the World, and Man in the Mirror. They Don't Care About Us maybe as well. I mean, there's lots of them. But did you know when you wrote them that, with the exception of your fan base, which was very loyal, that many people listened and tapped their feet and hummed the tune, but didn't really understand the deeper message? I'd also say, Michael, before you answer that question, that a few years ago, I posted the video for Heal the World on my Facebook page, and many people had never seen it before. And it's very graphic. It's very upsetting in terms of what it shows, in terms of what we've done to the world. Actually, it was Earth Song. It's Earth Song I'm talking about. A lot of people didn't want to look at it, show me the more sanitized version of it. Would you just like to talk about that, getting these tough truths through? He says, you see, music is a way to get the tough truths through. And he says, even if people aren't necessarily fully immersed in the complete emotion and meaning of every single word, he says song and melody and tone has a vibration that does actually reach through at cellular level. So the message is received at some level. He says there are different degrees and layers whereby messages get through. Some people get it completely and are completely enveloped by it and feel it as a call to action. And I'm seeing the tears or the joy, and others just get it at a much more surface level. But he's saying even at surface level, the energy is moving things within themselves and within the world. He says every time you hear, for example, Earth Song, it's actually creating waves through the world that helps to shift the world to a place where we care more about the environment, the climate, the animals, the vegetation, Mother Earth herself. Never underestimate, he's saying, the power of music to change the world. Music can change the world, has changed the world, and will continue to change the world. And it feels as though he wants to say something to the musicians of the world here, to keep going is what he's saying, to keep going. He's thanking people for continuing to carry the beat on. Michael, I was in London 3-4 days ago, went into Leicester Square, just came out of a restaurant and had a lovely meal, and I heard a busker a street musician, and he was doing Billie Jean. And there was a great big crowd gathered around this guy singing Billie Jean, and I literally rushed to join the crowd. And everybody was smiling and dancing and feeling the vibration of it. It was a beautiful moment. And you were there, weren't you, then? I knew you were there. He says, yes, I was standing in the crowd. I was behind the guy in white. If you've seen the video, because I put the video up on Facebook and Instagram, there's a guy in white and he's really going for the music. He's saying I was standing behind that guy and I was appreciating his moves. So yeah, there's gratitude for people that carry on with his music and getting the music out there still. He says, every time my songs are played on the radio, I am appreciative and I'm humbled by it. I'm humbled by the fact that the music lives on as I always wanted it to. He says, but I should never have doubted that because it came via God. I was a channel through which this God consciousness came through my music. That's why people smile. He says, that's why you rush to hear the song. He says, it's to do with the vibration of it. So he's thanking people for carrying on his music, but equally people who have their own unique ability, unique talents, unique voice, unique gifts with music. The guitar players, the drummers, the singers. He's just showing me all the musicians, all the different musicians that are out there, how precious a gift music is to the world. And he says music will never be suppressed as well. He says even if they tried, it would still be played in the underground clubs and bars and pubs and places. He's taken me back in time. He says music has always been the thing that has united people. It's a unifying force. It's a force of good. So celebrate the musicians in your midst. Get behind them. Okay. Right. Thank you. Yes. Okay, where should we go now then, Michael? I'm going to pull a couple of cards. Sorry, the battery died. Not going to go on for too much longer, but I am going to address one of the questions that I know will come in the comments, which is that the case that James Safechuck and Wade Robson bought against MJ, I don't know what it's called, the organisation that the organisation basically linked to Michael Jackson. The case was thrown out, I think in 2021, but it's back on the table, back on the statute books. So that case, I think, will be going to a jury trial. Whether it's next year or not, I don't know the actual timing, but it's going to be happening. I would like to ask him his feelings on that. As I say, we have covered a lot of this a few years ago, so I'm not going to go back into all of the allegations or anything like that. It's all been said on this channel many times, and yes, 100% I believe he's innocent and always will believe that. If you haven't watched Square One, and you do, okay, that's a starting point. But equally, I'd like to ask him now about his thoughts about this being resurrected again, this case that was thrown out that's now coming back. So let's just go there. And I'm also going to pull some cards as well with regards to what might happen with that case. So I suppose, Michael, when I heard that it was back again, my first thought was, oh no. But equally, then when I felt into it, I thought, if a jury comes back and throws the case out and they lose, it's going to be another vindication and another victory for you. But he says you never know the way juries will go, which is true. We don't know who's going to be on the jury or anything like that. So let's pull some cards, and I'm also going to ask him. So let's ask him first. Let's go back to the spray. So he's saying he doesn't want his fans and followers to be angry with them. He's saying anger just breeds more anger. Judgment breeds more judgment. So the first thing to say is that he says, I still see them in terms of soul essence as the children that I knew. He seems to have separated off from the men that they are now. He says, I don't understand the men that they are now and why they are doing what they are doing, why they are saying what they are saying. I don't understand that. Do I feel betrayed? Yes. So he's saying, I don't want to stay in an energy of negativity. So instead, he says, I see them as the children they were. The times when we were together, where we enjoyed innocent play and fun, as I did with many children, countless children, he says. I can't remember them all. There were so many children that came into Neverland, were around me on tours, in my home. He says, maybe I was too trusting. Now, there's a part in the book, actually, and I probably should have remembered what page it was on, but I can't remember what page it was on. But Lisa Brisse, the lady that passed away, as I say, her mother used to work at Neverland Ranch. So first-hand experience of actually being with Michael and seeing how he operated around people. His mum is a staunch advocate for Michael as well and has always protested his innocence. Lisa writes about it in the book. But there's a part in this book where Lisa's talking about the first time that her mother, ever met him, Michael, in his home. I think it was at Neverland Ranch. But anyway, one of his homes, and she was just introduced to him, and she was really nervous because it was Michael Jackson and didn't know what to say, was nervous, all the rest of it. And he was just very pleasant, very friendly. And she said the main thing that struck her about the encounter, the first encounter, was how trusting he was, because he didn't know who this woman was from, anybody else, as well as all of the other staff, all of the people that came in, the procession, the conveyor belt of people that just came in, kids, grown-ups, very trusting, very naive is what he's saying in retrospect. But it was what it was, and it was the time when it was of its time, is what he's saying. So the first thing he's saying is, I see them as they were, and I remember that, and I know that he's shown me an apple, and he's shown me I know the apple wasn't rotten. He's saying the apple was, the apple is a symbol of, it's like Eden. It's like, it's, the story of Eden. Eve takes a bite from the apple. She's the wrongdoer. She's the sinner. He's just shown me this pristine apple that wasn't rotten. It was never rotten. There was never anything rotten there. The rot set in, he says, with these two after I died. He's saying they never would have done it whilst I was alive. Something happened to them, but it's like he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to look at what it was. And as I'm saying that, there's a card on the top of the deck, which is the Seven of Cups. As I was saying, something happened to them. It feels as though there are other external influences around these two guys who have made them choose in a way that it has not been, is not wise. And he's saying this has got very little, well, he's saying it has got a lot to do with me, but he's saying at soul level, this is more about their choices. Can they look at themselves in the mirror, knowing that what they are saying is not the truth? And there's these two birds there, which feel as though they're birds of freedom. That card's really interesting, isn't it? Because we're talking about projection, and I'm talking about the whole theme of this video is about doing the inner work, not projecting onto other people that, you did this, you've said that, you are this. There's something about pointing at other people, accusing other people, whereas actually what we should be doing is looking at ourselves. What has caused us to point the fingers in the first place? To believe the lies, the manipulation over truth. I'm just feeling a lot of other influence with those two. Okay, let's see how the trial's going to go then. I'm wanting to say if it goes to trial. That's a strange thing to say because they've just said it is going to go to trial, but I'm still feeling if it goes to trial. That could just be that something happens to delay it again. I believe one of his court cases, there was an earthquake or something, wasn't there, Michael? Or some sort of earth happening that made the trial later than it was meant to be. But anyway, let's assume it is going to go ahead. What is there to say about this? What is there to say about this? So from your perspective, Michael, we've got the energy of balance and we've got material and spiritual prosperity on the bottom of the deck. So the energy of money being involved in this. We know it is, obviously they're going for money. But we have an angel there, and that angel feels as though it is going to bring an energy of fairness. They'll get a fair trial. Michael himself will be treated fairly in the trial, maybe not by the external media, but card number 11, the energy of balance. It just feels as though whatever occurs, yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, whatever occurs, it's as though he's moved on. It can't touch him anymore. It can't touch him anymore. He's pure spirit. He knows the truth. He's had his reckoning with God, as we all do. He's moved on from it. He's moved on from it. He's at peace. He's at peace with the process, basically. He's at peace with the process. Show me a card with regards to the two men, and then I'm going to move on to a different subject, because I don't want the whole video to be about this. Just show me a card, please, with regards to Wade Robson and James Safechuck. Show me their energy, please. Wade Robson and James Safechuck. We've got the card of deception and envy, and on the bottom of the deck we've got the card of power. But we've also got obstacles and challenges, and we've got the card of wisdom. It's not very wise for them to take this decision. Even if they won, the money would bring them no happiness, absolutely no happiness. So it is it's what it says it is. That's the card that came up for the two guys, deception and envy. Let's just talk a little bit about the energy of envy, Michael. Envy is a very corrosive thing, he's saying. Envy is your enemy. To be envious of another is to... I'm feeling this sadness. It's just like it's so sad to be envious of another, to want what other people have, whether that be legacy, money, fame, power, anything else. You should never look to another to provide that. You should look to yourself. Again, coming back to looking in the mirror. If you look in the mirror at yourself and you know yourself and you hone your craft and you're like the archer with the bow and the arrow and you go for it and you don't allow things to derail you, or even if they do derail you, you get back up again, you try something else, you keep going, you will make a success of your own life. Deception and envy is just such corrosive, is what he's saying, such corrosive energies. And he says, I will not allow my heart to feel this. I will not allow my heart to go there. I send love, I send compassion to them, and I hope that he's shown me his children now. He's worried that they would be affected by this case again, it all coming back up. He's saying, I'll be with my kids, I'll be with my family. I'm seeing the oldest boy in particular, BG. I'm seeing him in particular for some reason. I think he's pretty sensitive. Michael feels as though Paris is a bit like this, lioness type energy. He obviously watches over all of his children, but it feels like she can look after herself a little bit more. Prince feels in a good space. I'm not saying BG's not in a good space. It just feels as though there's a sensitivity there. There's an extra shield of protection over him, although obviously he shields all of his children. So, and in terms of your fans then, Michael, in terms of your fans, he says, just don't go there. It's like, just don't go there. Don't feed it. Don't feed that circus. Don't feed the frenzy. Don't let hatred into your heart. Don't let judgment into your heart. Keep your heart pure. Keep your heart love. He says, that's what I was always about. I was about bringing unity. So keep your heart pure. Keep your heart pure. Okay. I'm going to have a final card here from you, Michael, on any other subject that you wish to bring in. So we're moving away from that Wade Robson, Safechuck energy. Let's just see what else is there to say today. Yeah, okay, he wants to just hammer this home. Okay, I'm going to take it away from those two now. But again, for the rest of us, remember these people are mirrors. Everybody in the collective are mirrors. So when you see other people behaving in a way which you don't like, or you think they're making a mistake, or you judge harshly, you're human, you're going to do that from time to time. He's saying learn from it. Look at the people who go after just fame and money for fame and money's sake. He says it never brings happiness. So the most important thing is what he just said, is to stay in your heart. Your heart is the thing that brings harmony, okay? And here we've got the energy of love, love in its purest sense, very pure sense. Can you see the way these two are looking at each other? It's literally, it's eye-to-eye contact. It's palm-to-palm contact. It's complete bliss and unity and harmony. I'm hearing the word honour. I honour you. It's to do with the energy of honour and respect and dignity. And if you want that from another, find that within yourself first. Can you look in the mirror and honour yourself? Can you look in the mirror, the way these two are looking at each other? And this isn't a narcissistic looking in the mirror in terms of, oh, how beautiful I am or anything like that. No, this is just to do with unconditional love for self. The way these two are looking at each other is an energy of unconditional love and tenderness and softness and compassion. Be like that with yourself, he's saying. Be like that with yourself. Honour, respect, dignity. And the colour green as well, being very important for these times. And that's to do with expansion, freedom, health, well-being, nature. Michael, my stomach's rumbling, apologies, but just before we close out, any final messages with regards to the way the world is now and guidance for people with regards to the chaos that many are feeling down here on planet Earth? Okay. So he's showing me himself now again as this pure spirit that just sort of is looking from a bird's eye perspective at the earth. And he's showing me how beautiful it is. And he's showing me the, what's the guy called? Captain Kirk. Can't remember the guy's proper name. Apologies, it will come to me after I finish filming. But Captain Kirk, when he went up in the spaceship recently, and I think, isn't he in his 90s? And he came back and he says, I was forever changed because I saw the complete and utter perfection and beauty of this planet. And it changed me. It changed me. So this is the energy I'm feeling from Michael. It's like he's looking down on Earth and he's seeing the beauty. He's saying so many people at the moment on Earth are just looking at the decay. They're looking at the decay and they're looking at what's wrong. And he says, yes, we need to look at that because a cleanup is needed. But equally, it's what he said in that passage that I read to you in the book. It's love, it's the energy of love and light that actually helps to transform the world. And when we start to look at the world through those eyes, the destruction, the decay takes on a different, you have a different perspective to it. He's shown me like an old tree that's fallen down and it's rotting and it's decayed, and on one level you can look at that and you can think, oh, it looks ugly, somebody needs to clear it up. But actually within it, he's saying that's a home for the insects, the animals, it's feeding the forest floor, it's going to regenerate. He's saying the process the earth is in right now is messy, it's messy. He's saying you're in a messy birth canal. But you have to keep your attention focused on the end goal, which is the rebirth that is coming. But it's coming through difficult birth pains. A message for your country, Michael, America, at this time. So much turmoil there, he says, so much turmoil. He's giving me the song Black and White for America. He says it's all in that song. It's all about coming together. It's all about coming together. It's about seeing past what separates us, whether that be colour, whether it be age, whether it be gender, whether it be nationality, whether it be political party. He's saying when you pass over, when you die, you don't take your political colours with you. Because what he's saying is it's like everything, you drop everything. It's a coat that you wear in this lifetime. Your faith, your politics, your so many beliefs that we have which are earthly in nature, but it's because you're only being able to see things from an earth perspective. When you're seeing it from a higher perspective, you're not seeing the borders, you're not seeing the lines of differentiation. You see oneness, you see the energy of oneness, you see the energy of unity. So, okay, there's something he's wanting to say here about America. He's saying if people could only see each other as souls rather than just the cloaks, the temporary cloaks that they're wearing in this one lifetime. And he's now shown me lifetimes and lifetimes. And he says, because you come back and you'll have a different, you'll wear a different cloak, you'll belong to a different political party, you'll be a different race, you'll be a different colour, you'll have a different wealth status. This is what happens on planet Earth. People want to keep reincarnating back. They deliberately choose something different. So you're actually fighting yourself. Imagine if the person you're fighting, for example, he's saying, for example, with regard to a political party, it's like that could be your future self who comes back wanting to experience what it is to hold those particular views. We're all fighting ourselves, is what he's saying. Unity is the only way forward, to sit with each other, to love each other, to accept each other, to accept each other. Acceptance seems to be a big word for today. Acceptance of self. I'm also getting the word accountability as well. Being accountable for self. Accountable for your actions, accountable for your deeds. Making sure that your deeds, your words, your thoughts are pure, are loving, are helpful, are healing, not just to others, but to yourself. He said, because we are all accountable to God. I know God isn't a word that everybody uses these days, but that's Michael's word. He says everybody's accountable to God. And he's now bringing in this energy of humbleness. And he says that's a beautiful thing, to be accountable, to be humbled before a higher power. A power that is so much bigger than us. Power's not the right word, but a force. He's saying a life force that is more than any one living thing. It's extraordinary to witness it. And when you're on earth, you only see a tiny fraction of what is possible. After death, you see more of what is possible, the bigger picture. But we're still learning in spirit, he's saying. We're all still learning because there are other planets, there are other places to keep exploring, and there are different perspectives there. So it all comes back to our self, change starting with us. Okay, so final message then, Michael. Have you seen Metatron, by the way? Because I work with Metatron a lot. And he said Metatron there. He's laughing. He says, oh yes, I know Metatron. I know Michael. He says, I knew Michael more in life. He's talking about Archangel Michael. The angels. There's a beautiful bit in this book actually about angels, because he did have quite a lot of beautiful paintings of angels in his home. And yeah, so his Archangel Michael was more your boy, wasn't it? Yeah. But Metatron, he's laughing and saying yes, he's met them all. He said they're just all, here we go, yes. Those who've got the book, it's page 100 is it? Angel of Light, page 105. Shall I just read you this little bit? It says, it's hard to see angels, although I've stared at their pictures for hours. Some people can see them without pictures, and they tell interesting tales. Guardian angels are all female, for instance, which didn't surprise me once I found out. A birth angel recruited from the younger ranks attends every baby when it appears, while another angel, older but not grim, helps the dying to leave this world without grief or pain. You can pray to the angels and they will listen, but the best way to call them, I am told, is to laugh. Angels respond to delight because that is what they're made of. In fact, when people's minds are clouded by anger or hatred, no angel can reach them. Not all angels have wings, so the visionaries claim, but those who do can unfurl a span of golden feathers stretching over the entire world. If you had eyes that could look straight into the sun, you would see an overwhelming angel presiding there. A more serene one smiles out from the face of the moon. Oh, beautiful. Just going to go on a little bit because there's quite a lot. It says, so now I'm looking for my angel all the time. I sit silently, turning my gaze inward. It wasn't long before I caught a glimpse of something. Is that you, angel, holding a candle? One flicker and it was gone. Yet that was enough to set my heart wildly beating. Next time my angel will be waving a lamp, then holding a torch aloft, then lighting a bonfire. That's what the angel watcher promised. And now that I have caught sight of glory, I know enough to believe. Oh, that's beautiful, Michael. So yeah, he wrote that obviously when alive. He's saying I'm an angel watcher. Yeah. So tell me about your experience with the angels then. Since passing over, he says they are just the most beautiful, sublime energy of grace, of light, of healing, of truth, of beauty, of joy. He says I could go on and on and on. They are the radiance of the sun, the softness of the moon, the groundedness of the earth, the freedom of the sky. They are small, they are large. They have a, it's like, he's showing me like an army. So there are like the minions and then there are the larger ones. And it's just like, he's so much bigger, he's saying, than you can possibly imagine. He's saying it's really good to call on your angels, for them to be there to guide you. The signs that are around when your angels are near, the feathers, etc. He says they are real. He says, look out for them. Your angels are always with you. He's saying, he's showing me the video from Will You Be There? I think it's a live concert, and he's dressed in white, and there's like this big angel wings that comes around him and like enclose him, and he's saying that is real. That actually is something that happens. That's exactly what the angels do when you need them, when you're feeling lonely, when you're feeling abandoned, when you feel as though nobody understands. He's saying just ask your angel of light to come around you with its wings, and it will completely enfold you and keep you safe. Yeah, okay. Right. Thank you, Michael. I am going to leave it there for today. We could carry on for hours. I will come back and have another chat with him soon, but I just wanted to honour him today. Also honouring Princess Diana, of course. Just feeling if Diana is there. Yeah, she's in the wings. She's I don't know why I'm being shown this. I'm being shown her tickling a baby's feet. It's like I'm being shown a baby, and it's like feet, and she's tickling the baby's feet. It's like she's occupied, she's amused, she's having a lovely time, she's with the children, she's giggling, she's got that laugh that she always had. She's just like, and now she's like caught my attention. She's like, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be rude. It's just, I don't want to take her away from where she is. She's just very at peace, and she's with the children. And Michael's saying, I'm going to go and join her now. Okay, so let's leave them to do that. And I'd like to thank him for coming. And he's going to leave via the way he came in, which is via that window. And the window is closed, but I'm just seeing his spirit. It's just literally moving through the window frame and out via the tree, out to the sea. And he's off. Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will put the links to my previous channelings with Michael below. I will also put the link to purchase this spray. As I say, we're going to put a charitable donation to a children's charity probably with this. I think it will be a children's charity, or it could be an earth charity. I'm not sure. I'll ask him what he wants. But I will put whatever charity it is in the description box below in the shop when it goes on sale, which will probably be later today or tomorrow. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love. Next channeling that I'm going to be doing will be with Marilyn Monroe. But equally, there might be a video or two in between before I do that. Take care. Lots of love. Go and blast out some Michael Jackson now. Remember, those waves just reverberate through the whole world. Thank you. Bye.